go with the flow.
And I think you have a lot of questions, right?
Yeah, I'm getting very distracted by your screen, Florian, because it keeps changing every 10 seconds. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 35th episode of Deliverability.TV with myself, Anthony Mitchell, Florian Vierke, and our special guest today, Thomas Fontvielle. Is that correct? Fontvielle, yeah?
Pretty much. Fontvielle.
Fontvielle, yes. Okay, well, I was close, but anyway, excuse me. The General Secretary of SignalSpam, which is a spam fighting organization based in France, but I think you actually operate Europe and worldwide. So, of course, which was going to be very interesting to get into. So, first of all, welcome, Thomas.
Thank you. It's a really pleasure to be here and to be invited on this channel, and I'm really eager to talk with you guys.
Fantastic. And I know that if we just cast our minds back, I think it was about 5 years ago, I think all three of us were sat around a table in a restaurant called, is it Takara? A Japanese restaurant in Paris. Very nice. Yeah. Back in the day.
The oldest Japanese restaurant in Paris, I think. A lovely place and a lovely food. So yeah. It was... I think you invited me there to discuss the new evolutions of SignalSpam and to see what we could build together. So yeah, it was a lovely memory, especially since we cannot go through this kind of places anymore.
No.
Have you been there last time?
No, honestly, it has been years since I went there, but I'm really
with us
to go back.
Last time was with us.
Probably.
Just you'll make Florian feel even more special if you say that.
Yeah. No, that was nice. Yeah.
Fantastic. Yeah. So I suppose for the benefit of ourselves and for the channel, we'll get to SignalSpam in a minute. So being also interested to know how you got into email, Thomas. So perhaps a little bit about yourself and how you got into email.
Actually, SignalSpam was my first assignment. Well, not really. I began at Microsoft at the Digital Crimes Unit, and I was working with the EMEA director, so Europe, Middle East, and Africa. And he was at the time the president of a small association that was SignalSpam, and he needed someone he could rely on to go speak to all the members of SignalSpam and to promote the initiative. And to gain confidence to build bridges between the different entities. So SignalSpam is a public-private partnership, and we needed someone who could go to the CNIL data protection agency or to the other authorities and could also go to the companies, present a face, and explain the project to them, to hear out what they wanted SignalSpam to resemble like, what was the hot topics, what the tools everyone needed. And then we had the huge brainstorming, what to do, what to get, and how to get the data that everyone needed. And so, yeah, at first it was a lot about gaining confidence of everyone. And I was still an intern at Microsoft at the time. And it resulted that they needed to have someone in SignalSpam full time, and I was the happy guy to be there in the right place at the right time.
Fair play. And you must have been there for quite some time now. That was when was that roughly? 10 years.
Yep.
Is this the 10th year this year?
Absolutely.
There we go. 5 years, 10 years. Fantastic.
And you can't celebrate it because of COVID. Bad luck.
Well, when the world opens up again, we're celebrating now.
11th year. Yeah.
From our own home. Very good. Yeah, I suppose SignalSpam has changed a lot since then. So just to paint a picture for perhaps the listeners and for those that don't know, and also myself, just a reminder. So effectively, SignalSpam is perhaps an organization that helps members of the public signal spam elements and so that you can report spam via email with an application installed, and then it's fed back to yourself.
Yeah, the aim of the association is to provide the public with very simple tools to report anything they consider to be a spam. Anything they consider to be a spam. That is the word that I'm using. So I'm not choosing to put, kind of legal definition of what is a spam. Our goal is to provide the public with the ways to report what they consider to be a spam. So whether it is abuse from the marketing industry, or it is hardcore spam, like cyber criminal originating spam. And in effect, we get a lot of reports, and 70 to 90% of what is reported to us is dealing with marketing. And so 10 to 30% is hardcore cybercrime. So we provide tools, so plugins for the browsers, for Google, Safari, Edge, Firefox, but also for the webmail client, and also malicious URLs to SignalSpam. I will explain later what we do with that. Those reports we collect, we add intelligence on them, and then we redistribute those reports and those information to the ecosystem. So we only give the relevant information to the right player in the ecosystem, so we can deploy countermeasures against the specific spam that was reported. So we try to have a global view of what is spam and to have different actions for each type of spam.
Already there's many interesting topics, and like I'm almost surprised that the smaller percentage of 10% of spam is things like fraud, and basically I'm surprised that the majority of the spam that you receive or complaints is marketing emails. I think already that's a big surprise, and it's a huge percentage difference.
Yes, it's a huge percentage, and it's so the tool is agnostic. I mean, you can report on any messagery, but we have really French grounded users because it's a French association that was built for the French public in mind, although there are other people using it, absolutely. But they are using what they see in their messagery, what gets through to them. The email services provider, they already filter a lot of things, obviously, because you know that 97% of communication attempts are blocked and filtered because it is hardcore spam and cyber threats. So what we see in our messages is the 3 remaining percent that are reported. 70 to 90% is email marketing. So email marketing, you will have a lot of different things that we see. It can be because the opt-in was not lawfully collected or doing with the best practices in mind, or it can be because it's no longer relevant to the people that are reporting the spam, but they didn't see where to unsubscribe because the button is not existent or is hidden. So there can be a lot of different bad practices that justify to report spam. And every SignalSpam member that accesses the reports has the legal obligation to consider the spam as an unsubscription requirement. So if you are an email sender that you are receiving one of SignalSpam feedback loops, you are entitled to see the report as a demand of unsubscription. So that's one thing.
Very good. Yeah, that makes complete sense. And during this period of time, I suppose I'm interested and curious when we see perhaps more online digital marketing and more people, perhaps businesses going online more so than ever. Have you noticed any kind of trends that you could share with us? Have you noticed in the last year or so, has there been an increase of spam complaints being reported?
No, it's very difficult to. For us, we've seen we went through a small level of reports to a much bigger one because we are approaching the 3 million reports per month now.
3 million per month.
Yeah, but it doesn't
Okay, yeah.
say a lot about an increase of spam, because it's SignalSpam that was more widely known by the public. So we got more reports. So it doesn't say a lot about the trend about spam increase or not. Obviously, what we see is that spam is really a seasonal thing. When you have a topic of actuality, for instance, now it's at the beginning of the lockdown and the COVID crisis, you had a lot of spam about mask, because that was a hot topic, something you couldn't find easily. So there was a lot of cybercrime using that, where a lot of companies eager to communicate about COVID to their clients, whether they had relevant things to say or not.
Mm-hmm.
And today it's a lot about the vaccine as well. So everything you have, every time you have a hot topic, you will find it. You will find a reflection on the spam industry. The one thing for which we can really speak about trends is cybercrime, because we see practices that evolves, and nowadays the practices that we see is called replay campaigns. So it's a phishing term. So it's phishing techniques. So you will have the cyber attackers or criminals that will take a legitimate marketing emailing campaign. They will just take it. They will copy all the whole campaign, and they will reproduce it, and they will replay the campaign while just changing a few elements in order to redirect them to a phishing website. So it's a new kind of phishing that really is built upon a legitimate campaign that was sent previously. So this is one of the trends that we've seen recently.
That's very deceiving. Yeah.
Yeah, very, very deceiving, and really, really hard to tackle on the technical front.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of news to me, so that's interesting. Florian, have you heard about replay phishing before?
Replay campaign.
Replay campaigns, excuse me, a type of phishing.
Yeah, I've heard about that sometimes. Yeah, and yeah, you can see that
at the moment.
Sorry.
It's a really hot topic at Moog meetings at the moment. You know, the malware mobile.
Yes. That was, by the way, also one of my questions.
So that's something they've been focusing. When I say they, I mean the ISPs and the security vendors, but also the marketers, because their campaigns are being abused. So if you are a marketer, you will deal with people taking your campaign and actually making it a phishing campaign. So your name and your infrastructure will be abused, not directly, but indirectly. You will get reports saying that you've sent some phishing because your IP as a sender will be used by the criminals. So that's very disturbing for some of them.
What are they doing against it, or is there no solution yet?
They don't do anything. The marketers don't do anything about this because they are not directly concerned. It's not them who are sending the phishing campaign. They are just being abused. So they are sharing the information. They're saying, hey, I've seen the replay campaigns on my names. I can share a few information with you guys, but it's mainly subject for the ISPs and the security vendors.
Would this kind of push towards more so like DMARC deployment for everyone, trying to get DMARC records across the board, trying to at least filter out as much of this as possible? I mean, these replay campaigns, they're spoofing the sender as well, I'd imagine, as well as taking all the HTML, all the creative, and so it looks exactly like.
Yeah, it's exactly like. So I wouldn't say that it is strictly sense to spoofing, because spoofing is another kind of abuse where you construct a domain name that is approaching a legitimate domain name. but you will be switching the E for a majuscule L. So that will be spoofing, but it's not the actual name of the company or of the domain. With the replay campaigns, you are really taking the technical information and every information, and you are replaying the campaign while just switching a bit of things. So you are really cloning a campaign.
Oh, right.
Your advantage. So it's not building from scratch and trying to resemble something that exists. You are really using exactly what has been done by a legitimate marketer.
But with a different domain, because with the same domain that could be tackled with DMARC.
Correct.
You use the same thing. So DMARC, if you put it on the JK.
Yeah. Okay.
So, okay, very interesting. So, would you then, what's the best way of tackling this? So, I suppose what you can do is report the spam, download the SignalSpam application, and then you can report and signal this as being spam or some kind of replay campaign.
Yeah, the idea with a database like SignalSpam is that we take the information and we redistribute them to the players, whether they are law enforcement or private companies. But SignalSpam is also a laboratory and an observatory of spam. So we can observe and we can study new trends. And this is also very knowledgeable for anti-spam enforcement. So yeah, reporting everything that you consider to be a spam, it will help the whole ecosystem understanding what is spam, what are the new threats, what are the best practices we can enforce toward the marketers or encourage them to adopt in order to better protect and to better address the email that we want to receive. So it's not about preventing legitimate email to be sent. Not at all. It's about making sure that you are receiving the email you want and you are protected against the email that you don't want. And that can, in some instance, be really threatful for your computer or your personal data.
I suppose I had a question in regards to the ISPs that you work with. So you mentioned, so at the minute you have some agreements in place and a feedback loop. I think that could be quite interesting to have that as a topic to discuss that.
Yeah, absolutely. Allow me to elaborate a bit on this because we have different feedback loops and tools, and it can be confusing to the people to what kind of data set. So we mentioned at the beginning that SignalSpam offers plugin to the people to report anything they consider to be a spam. So this would be the first data set that SignalSpam has to offer, the SignalSpam feedback loop, which is for every messagery. I mean, you can install the plugin on your messagery, whether it is Gmail, Yahoo, Orange, Free, La Poste, OVH, or any messagery. It's completely agnostic, so you can use it everywhere. So this feedback loop, I think your public knows what it is, but it's an information signal you get and that you redistribute to the people who send the first message. And with that report, he's able to take actions such as unsubscribing or putting on the blacklist the people who complained. So the first set of data is SignalSpam feedback loop, but it is small. I said that it was roughly 2 million, 3 million per month. So it can appear to be a lot, but it's actually quite small. It's very qualitative, but we ask our users to subscribe and to have an account. So this will deter a lot of people from registering and from using SignalSpam. We know that, but that's the choice that was made at the beginning, so that we can use the report as digital evidence during a lawful investigation or when we go to the tribunals, for instance. We want to be able to really enforce and act and leverage upon the reports we got. That's why we have an account. But we also need volumetric information. And who has a lot of information? The ISPs. So in France, the main ISPs are Orange, La Poste, SFR, and Free. So Free is not an active member of SignalSpam, so we're going to leave them aside. We do work with them, but not officially and not in full capacity. So that leaves us with Orange, La Poste, and SFR. So at first, they couldn't distribute a full feedback loop. So we couldn't gain access to the reports, which are several millions a day, on their platform. So we come up with a system in which we tell them which are the IP addresses of our members, and the ISPs would give us a volumetric information. So they would say, for this IP address, I had today 200 reports, or 2,000 reports, on 20,000 reports. We would not get the actual reports, just the information, just the number of reports they had. And we would redistribute that information to our sender members at SignalSpam. So that was the second set of data that we provided. And since last year, we are providing a new set of data, which is the actual feedback loop from the ISPs. So now, today, SignalSpam is operating the feedback loop for Orange and for La Poste, and it's only accessible to SignalSpam members. So often we hear the reproach that it's strange to make a feedback loop accessible only through SignalSpam, but that's the way the French market is organized. We want the people who access the feedback loop to enforce best practices. And getting through SignalSpam is a way not only to receive data, but also to work on improving infrastructures and practices. And that was the wish of the ISPs, to go through SignalSpam in order to enforce best practices at the same time. So the feedback loops are only accessible to players who already are doing a proper job in collecting opt-ins from clients who are venting the database they are using. So to already, let's say, good players on the market. So I've allowed myself to go a bit in length on the subject, but there are really a lot of different data sets, and we need to really make a precise explanation of.
I don't know if it's a rumor that you plan to share some data with the CSA or partnering, or don't know. That's true? And
absolutely.
If so, what kind of data will you share? What's the plan?
Is true. So the CSA is and SignalSpam, we've been working for now 3-4 years to become closer, because we feel it's in the common interest of SignalSpam and the CSA and good players. Every country, in both two countries, to for this approach. And so the CSA is not interested in getting the reports, because historically they don't want to operate feedback loops, but they are interested in getting information about what their members are doing. So they want to have a ratio of complaints on IP level. So they want, the CSA is giving, let's say, green cards and red cards to some of the actors. And they want to use SignalSpam as a way to have a better view of what's going on their members. So what will happen, or should happen, is that the CSA will provide the IP list of its members, and SignalSpam will give a note for these IP addresses based on the ratio of complaints. So is that clear?
Yeah, and I completely agree. It definitely makes sense to have more data, because the ISPs operate, of course, locally, but also internationally. That's why, Are you aware of any similar programs for other countries like Italia or UK or anything like that?
Not at the moment, but that's really something we would like to do. So we will be doing that with the CSN, but we will also, well, it's really something we haven't discussed, but we are looking to implement this also with some other French organizations which are dealing with marketing also, so that they can have an idea of who's doing badness or who is a good actor. So yeah, the idea is always to help every organization get the relevant information they need for their own actions.
Okay, cool. One question back to SignalSpam. When I report a spam, what is actually happening? So my voice is counted as a bad signal, but what else is happening? Is there a filter trained for my Thunderbird or something like that?
Yeah, sure. When you report a spam, we analyze it. So we run in through a tool by Secure, so a really well-known company that is providing spam filters to the ISPs. So we are using that technology to give a rating to the report. So it helps us say this is legitimate marketing email, so don't take it into consideration. This is dirty email marketing, so inquire on this. This is phishing. This is a spam coming from a botnet. This is a spam related to industry. This is a spam related to casino. This is a spam relating to pornography. So yeah, we have this ranking of
also
spam.
false positives.
But yes, to answer your question, we have a way to distinguish false positive. So there can be mistakes when you report a spam. Often I have people on Twitter or Facebook or by email telling me, hey, I've made a mistake. Can I withdraw my report? Yes, you can. And if you don't, it's not a big deal because the system will analyze it and will recognize it as a false positive.
Very good.
So yeah, this is not really an issue for us because it is an issue we have addressed. I mean, so we have a solution for that.
Okay.
So I told you that we are running Secure on the report you've made. We are also looking at the IP address. So see if the report came from one of our members, then we redispatch him the report. We also build a top 50 of the biggest French companies that are sending spam that we are giving to the CNIL, which is the data protection agency in France. We are giving back to the ISPs the spam that came out of the network so that they can identify possibly botnet infected computers on their network. We give information to Europol, we give information to Canada, to all countries related to the spam that came out of their national network. We are also, we didn't speak about that, but we are also a repository of URLs. So we extract phishing URLs from the spam and we feed the blacklist all around the world with those URLs in order to better protect your browsing on the internet. And actually, when you are using SignalSpam, you have the small button on your browser. You can not only report a spam, but you can also report a website. If this website is a cyber criminal, is phishing, is a fraud, you can report it, and then you will protect the whole community of SignalSpam users. And we will also give the information to the browsers and to the web hosters so that he can take down the malicious website.
Which blacklists or blocklists are you feeding? Is it Spamhaus or smaller ones?
Yes, Spamhaus, all the major blacklists. So we have Phishing Initiative in the loop, OpenFish, Tankfish. We are working with all the
Mark. Yeah.
Or let me rephrase a little bit. First of all, the past year was dominated by COVID, and I had the feeling that there was not that much movement in the industry, at least in the beginning. No meetings, some webinars, but that's not the same type of thing. But now I have the feeling that people start to change their mind a little bit and focus on some stuff that they can do because they can't travel, especially. So first of all, what's your impression about that? Is there any big movement in the email industry, and what's the other hot topics being discussed on Morg?
Um, uh, so it's not directly related to spam or signal spam. It's more how the industry was affected by the crisis, right? How we have changed of our habits of working and of meeting in order to to recreate what we used to have. My feeling is that we failed to do that. We haven't. We have SignalSpam is a network of players that come from law enforcement, from law industry, from the email marketing ecosystem, and we had meetings where we would gather, we would bridge topics, we would discuss a lot of things, build confidence between all that players, and we haven't been able to really efficiently do that. Yes, we've been meeting by Zoom. Yes, we've been conducting workshop on hot topics like opt-in partners or how to improve communication of the association. Yes, we've been having virtual meetings, but it's definitely not the same. And I think all the people feel that. So this week, it's the Morg weekend. It's a Morg week. So the Morg is the biggest think tank there is on email abuses, on internet abuses, and email has always been a hardcore part of the Morg. And we are meeting online, but it's really difficult to follow, because we used to have a whole week where we would go through Europe or through the United States, but now we have a virtual meeting. And at the same time, we didn't took a week. I mean, I still have meetings with you guys, for instance, and at the same time, I'm supposed to follow the Morg in the afternoon, and we appreciate the format of what you're trying to do because it's really friendly and we can openly discuss, and this is really great, and we have access to a whole range of information and of content, and seeing the people you used to work with is really something nice. So I appreciate that we take the time to discuss that way, but it has changed. At the beginning, you said that the industry wasn't that much impacted because we can do remote work. Yes, for the individuals, but as for companies and relating to spam, we've seen some really strange behaviors. So at some point, marketers and senders that used to do their job really well, they felt they had to send a lot of emails and they had to contact their whole database. You speak about personalizing email, segmenting your database, and we thought that this was something that was really well done by whole players, but we've seen that with the RGPD, GRPD. No, that's not it. Yes, I don't have the word in English. So we've seen that with GDPR, with everyone sending email when it came to force because you thought that you would not be able to send email as you used to. So players that used to do things the right way, they say, oh, please let me send on my whole database one last time. But you've never do that. What would you do? What would you want to do that now? Because I'm afraid, because I don't know what would happen. So let me send a lot of emails right now. So we've seen all kind of behaviors that we've never seen before. So this was really crazy. And we panic email. And we've seen that with COVID also. People that had nothing to do really with COVID crisis, saying a lot of things about getting in touch, keeping together. Yeah, but no, I don't want to read that from you. That's not, you're just providing me with cream for my hands. So yeah, it's okay, but don't remind me about what I'm supposed to do in COVID crisis. I want my emails from the government. Yes, I want notifications related to the products I love, but do not communicate when you don't really have something specific and relevant to say relating to the crisis. Not everything is an opportunity to send communication, because we are overwhelmed by it. We get frustrating by it, and our collective defense are weakened by panic movements. And I say it literally. When you send too much email, you are fragilizing the infrastructures of the email services providers. And we've seen them being really afflicted by the volume of the emails they got from the first wave of COVID. And I'm saying that the services were down because they received too much emails. So legitimate emails could not be delivered also because of that. So just an example. So that's one of the things that I've seen that was really remarkable and fascinating to observe. It was less true afterwards. We took a lot of measures. We tried to put a lot of messages. So I don't think the panic was such afterwards. We've seen a lot of cybercrime using the COVID and the crisis and so on. But the marketing industry, yeah, I think it got frightened at first, but it got to deal with it better afterwards.
And so I've got a couple of questions, if I can jump in, Florian. We're jumping with you on you with questions. So I fondly remember one of the SignalSpam assemblies. I was wondering if you had any plans in next year to organize an assembly.
So the General Assembly is not something that it's an obligation. We are an association, so we are compelled to hold a General Assembly, and we will do that. So we will do that. We did it this year. Digitally.
Oh, you did? Oh, very good.
Digitally. Yeah. So
fair play. How did that go? Was that a different new experience?
Well. Yeah, it went well, but it was frustrating. We are a community of people. We know each other, we work with each other, and we have created bonds in working together. And this is really important. And it's not the same. We can work remotely, but we don't have the human aspects. And this is really harsh for some of us. So we will conduct a physical General Assembly when we are able to do it, when it is safe to do it, and we will not take any chance. We will not rush things at all. We will also conduct afterworks for our members, for our community, so they can join, so we can discuss hot topics, and there will be a lot of them. So yeah, all this will get back, but in due time.
Good stuff. Sounds good. I need an excuse to come to Paris again. That's basically, that's what
I will provide it to you, Anthony.
Very good. Thank you. And it sounds like you've been very busy this week, action-packed with meetings here and there. Now, perhaps a slightly different question. Do you have a recommendation for a Netflix show?
I'm actually watching a lot of Korean drama at the moment. I don't know if you've seen that one, Itaewon Class, but yeah, that was the last show that I've watched, but it was several months ago. But that one, it caught me.
Itaewon Class. Okay, very good. I say that because I've just finished watching Call My Agent. Apparently it was an old show. It's with French actors and actresses, and I think it was 10%, but it's in French with English subtitles. I recommend that. I don't know if you've seen that, Florian.
Called Mine?
It's Call My Agent. So it's about agents for actors and their struggles along the way, and they have their own company called Ask, and there's rivalry, competitions, blah blah blah. But you have everything in it. It's a drama. I'm not really normally into stuff like that, but it was refreshing because I was training my French again, and I was kind of reading English along the way when I didn't understand, but it was nice. It is nice to not do something but work, but because there's only so much we can do, you know, limited to go outside and whatnot. But
yeah, I've managed to find hobbies. Yeah, you probably know that I'm a kendo practitioner, so it's a
yes,
Japanese swordsmanship. We've managed to have the community bonded together through Zoom trainings, conferences. So yeah, that's something that we can still do. It's degraded, of course. We can't wait to get back on the dojos and to take the swords and the armors again. But we still manage to do some things, and we can find the opportunity to do something great.
Absolutely, absolutely, and we can't wait to.
And the motorbike season is starting now.
And the motorbike season.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, of course. So you're back on your moped, are you, Florian? Or
No, I meant Thomas. He has a big motorbike.
Yeah, I have a motorbike through, not a big one, a small one, but yeah, I use it every day, whether it's winter, fall, August, summer.
there you go. It's got to be done. Absolutely.
By the way, I haven't watched this series on Netflix. I am currently watching one with Elias, which is a bit ridiculous. The Blacklist. I know it's terrible somehow. I mean, the main actor is great, but the whole FBI is acting so stupid. So it's a bit too much cliche. And
what's it called? Blacklists.
Blacklist. It's not a great. Yeah, you don't need to start it.
Oh, you wouldn't recommend it? Okay.
No, I mean it's.
I'll put that on my blacklist.
No, it's okay. I mean, when you're tired and want to on your sofa and you wake up and you can easily continue watching this with your partner without having to watch anything in the meantime, because not that much happening. But it's okay.
I'd rather work, Florian, to be honest. I like to. Thing is, sometimes if you watch shows and I can't get into them, I can't. I literally start thinking about work. I'm thinking I could just respond to this email, you know.
Yeah.
But
no, for me, it's usually the case when I want to watch something with my wife and one of us falls asleep. Then, yeah. And you need to watch this again to understand how it works. And it's a bit annoying.
I get what you mean. I get what you mean. Easy watching.
You don't have that problem with that series, not at all. You can simply watch it and tell in 2 sentences what happened in the last 5 episodes. That's easy.
Very good, very good.
Anyway, do you have any other question, Anthony?
Fantastic. To be honest with you, I've gone through a massive list, so I really appreciate that, Thomas. Yeah, I think any questions will be random, and I'm not very well placed at the minute. But thanks so much for joining us. How about you, Florian? Did you have any?
Yeah, I have one. Do you have a question to us? At least myself are still on the sender side. Is there anything, any new development or anything you would like to know from our side?
Good question. Yeah.
That's what I was asking Anthony at the beginning, because I didn't know what was the context of this podcast YouTube show. So I wanted to know a bit more about the intent, about the public, about the kind of things that you want to achieve through this podcast.
Yeah. So it's a personal project just from Anthony and myself, and we like to speak about it. I mean, we are in the email industry somehow on sender side and on the product side, Anthony now. And the intention is just to focus on things that are interesting for us, and probably someone else is also interested in this type of news. Yeah, probably, but mainly it's things that are interesting to ourselves. So I'm not doing this from my professional perspective, but from my own interest.
Sure. And I can confirm you that it is interesting. And for me, it was a pleasure to be invited and to meet with you again, guys, to have the opportunity to talk in a way that is a bit different from what we do traditionally. And thank you for that, because
Yes.
it was really uplifting.
You're welcome.
Thanks.
More than
Anytime.
welcome. Thank you.
Good. Yeah, let's see. Probably we can do a follow-up in, don't know, few months and see if there's some new evolution or so on. And next time I will be in Paris, for sure I contact you and probably we have a coffee or
Yes.
Or a
sushi
Takara.
or whatever.
Yeah.
Takara, that would
Yeah.
be.
And actually, I know another place that you might just like very much, but I stopped the teaser here.
Ah, there we go. You've got me. You've got me. I'll subscribe for the next one. Yeah, very good.
Absolutely.
Good.
Nice one.
That's good. Yeah, thanks for your time.
Well,
And
thank you very much,
enjoy
guys.
Morg. I miss
Thank you.
it.
Yeah, have a good one.
See you soon. Bye.
And
Take it easy, Thomas.
bye-bye.
Cheers. Bye-bye. See ya. Bye-bye.